Thank you very much, Ambassador Barley. I would now like to introduce Professor Irit Back. Professor Irit Back is one of the top academics in Israel in the field of African studies. She heads the Inter-University Program of African Studies at Tel Aviv University. She's a senior lecturer in the Department of Middle East and African Studies and a senior researcher at the Moshe Dayan Center for Middle Eastern and African Studies. Her research interests are contemporary Islam, conflict resolution, and regional organizations, mostly at the Horn of Africa and West Africa. Her recent book, From Sudan to South Sudan, IGAD and the Role of Regional Mediation in Africa, was published in 2020. Please, Professor.
Okay, so thank you. And although this panel is about post-October 7th, I would like to dedicate some part of my paper or talk to the history of the relation between Israel and Africa, because it was, we deal with it all day, and some historical points before I will get to October 7 are necessary, to my opinion. So I think you heard all these things during the day. This is Golda Meir. And Golda Meir, as a foreign Minister of Foreign Affairs of Israel, was a pioneer in issues of developing relations with Africa. You can see here with Kwame Nkrumah, the legendary Pan-Africanist leader of Ghana. And Israel recognized Ghana even before Egypt. It was like in 1959, I think. And you can see her with dancing with the daughter of Jomo Kenyatta, president of Kenya. And also Golda Meir was the leading force behind the establishment of Mashav, which we heard a lot about it today, and okay, and you heard about the importance of Mashav, especially during the 50s, the 60s, and it was one of her initiative of Golda Meir. You can see, I don't know if you see, you can see Levi Eshkol visiting one of the projects. I'm not sure if it's Mashav or not, but one of the agricultural projects in Africa. And this was the heydays of the Israeli-African relations. And I would like to connect this to what Golda Meir say in memoir about the claim that Israel actually wants the African countries for reasons of UN votes. And she said, that's what she said, did we go into Africa because we wanted votes at the United Nations? Yes, of course. That was one of our motives, and perfectly honorable one, which I never at any time concealed either from myself or from the African. But it was far from being the most important motive. Through it certainly wasn't trivial. Sorry. The main reason for our African adventure was what we had something we wanted to pass on to the nation that were even younger and less experienced than ourselves. So by 1967, 29 of Israeli 96 diplomatic missions worldwide were in Africa. But Israel soon found itself at the outside looking in. Following the Six-Day War, first Guinea was severed diplomatic ties with relation in 67, and some country between 67 and 72, but most country after 73. I don't know if you see, it's quite small, the letter there. And by the end of the October War, the 73 October War, only 4 states in the Organization of African Unity, it was Lesotho, Swaziland, Malawi, and Mauritius, who severed the relation later, mentioned diplomatic relation with Israel. And I think this kind of trauma that affected many years the relation between Israel and African country, because it was kind of surprising. One result of this breaking down of the diplomatic relation was that many African countries started to vote some kind of automatically against in resolutions against Israel, and the UN resolution against Israel, like Resolution 3379 that adopted in 75, that determined that Zionism is a form of fascism and racial discrimination. Yet, from 78 on, with the Camp David Accords with Egypt and subsequent peace treaty, the relation between Israel and African country gradually began to change, and I think between Camp David Accord and the Abraham Accord, we made a lot of progress in this field of relation between Israel and African country. The Abraham Accord was the signing of normalization agreement with Sudan and Morocco, and it was supposed to serve as a platform for Israel to expand relations with Africa. When Israel and Morocco have exchanged ambassadors and have deep and long-standing ties that stem both from substantial Jewish presence in Morocco as well as cover defense and intelligence tie, Israel ties with Sudan, which was yet to lead to establishment of a full diplomatic relation, are now, depend mostly on what happened in Sudan because of the civil war there that rapidly changed the fate of this country. Sorry, can't stop mine. The Abraham Accord of the time of the signing came following significant Israeli investment and expanding relation of the continent, including the reopening of the diplomatic relation with Chad. Yet the October 7th event seemed to turn out those diplomatic achievements on its head. In the aftermath of October 7 Hamas attack against Israel, Israel relations with Africa, with the countries of Africa, have come into focus, especially, and it was spoken about it a lot today, the South Africa bringing Israel to the International Court of Justice in The Hague on charges of genocide and withdrawing the ambassador from Israel. It's connected to the ANC policies toward Israel, to the history of the relation between the country, because Israel was one of the last Western countries to support the apartheid regime. And then ANC had traditionally a kind of a pro-Palestinian approach. And interesting what will happen now after the ANC lost its majority stand at the last election. But another thing that happened is Chad, which Israel renewed the relation in 2019, also took withdrew a diplomatic delegation in Israel in protest of Israel actions in Gaza. If we refer to some of the October 7th resolution in the UN, both General Assembly and the Security Council in the beginning action, several African states openly condemned Hamas action, including Kenya, Ghana, Togo, Cameroon, Zambia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The October 27 vote of the UN General Assembly following Hamas action on October 7 called for immediate, doable and sustained humanitarian truce leading to the cessation of hostilities, as well as calling for immediate and unconditional release of the civilian being illegally held captive, demanding their safety, well-being, and human treatment in compliance with international law. This vote did not have any condemnation of Hamas, and saw widespread support from African countries, including those such as Ghana and Kenya, that Israel has close relation with. The vote including abstention from Cabo Verde, Cameroon, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Zambia. However, this vote was also accompanied by the Canadian-sponsored amendment which condemned Hamas. The vote saw 6 African states, including the one that I mentioned before, and Malawi, and Nigeria even, voting in favor of the amendment. 9 others abstained, while 15 countries did not vote on amendment. This vote was followed by a December 12 UN General Assembly resolution, a vote on the non-binding resolution calling for immediate humanitarian ceasefire and immediate and unconditional release of all the hostages, as well as ensuring humanitarian access. And Liberia was the only African country to vote against the resolution. We saw abstention from Cameroon, South Sudan, Malawi, Cabo Verde, Equatorial Guinea, and Togo. Okay, there is a lot. I just wrote some kind of report about these votes, and I hope that you will be able to read it soon. But I would like to. Also, my voice is going to disappear, so I will make it short. Yeah? Israel's relations with Africa have gone through periods of successes and significant decline. Today, in the aftermath of the October 7th attack, Israel had received support from some of its African allies in the UA, yet its relations are far from secure. The steep fall in Israel relations before and after October 73 war underscored the fragility of Israel's ability to influence African state external orientation. As a result, Israel today stands as a significant juncture. The demand consistent engagement with African partner if it seeks to grow its support in the international arena. A critical component is Israel's continued engagement with African leaders through trade and investment, which can also be held greater support in the United Nations. Although some of the research say that there is no necessarily trade and aid not necessarily change the pattern of vote in some African countries. Yet, success stories such as Israel's relations with Cameroon, Rwanda, and Togo have been built on a long-standing connection that have also been fostered by considerable personal investment by Israel's political leadership, which have been parlayed into votes that have severed Israel's national interest in the international forum. Yet it is also sorry. It is also important to emphasize the limit of Israel's influence. Israel's support for African states, including through development. Sorry, I already said. Sorry. And I think maybe one of the most important thing that will say all through the day here is that Israel needs more diplomatic presence in Africa. we used to have so many diplomatic embassies through the continent, and now, I don't know, it's 10, 11, 10. While we saw, as Peter said before, today African countries have many opportunities. Israel is just one power, not a big one, to influence their stand in many, many issues. And if we like this diplomatic presence in Africa, we can influence, for example, the patterns of vote in the UN General Assembly, or a Security Council or other organization that relates to the other international organization. So I think that this is one of the conclusion of most of the today presentation is that we have to enhance our relation with the African countries. Thank you.